There's a lot of thoughts today.
I'm the one that was on camera here.
I know.
15, so
I know.
If I want to say stuff,
You
something,
say it, honey.
20 years later, okay, I can say it.
All right, guys, welcome to Raising Heights. I am Tori.
I'm Zach.
Thanks for being here. If this is your first time, welcome. If this is not your first time, welcome back. All the things. Okay, so you guys have joined us in the middle of a really interesting, intriguing, very exciting series.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So exciting.
So exciting. Yeah.
I totally forgot.
But before we jump into that, let's do Peak and Pit. So if you don't know what Peak and Pit is, it's the best part and the worst part of our week. We had a really good week. So what was your peak?
We had a great week. Peak, going to Sun River was a lot of fun.
We've been on spring break. So
We've been on spring break. Washington spring break. I don't know, maybe the other states too, but Washington spring break is kind of like the first week, last weekish, but first week of April versus Oregon.
I feel like it's different every year. I never know when spring break actually is.
Basically, Oregon and Washington have different spring breaks, though, is moral of the
Someone
story.
gets together and decides when and where.
Yeah, so if you have friends in Oregon or friends in Washington, your spring break is different. But we went to Sun River. It was a little cold.
It was very cold.
I don't think, been to Sun River Bend that type of year or that time of year.
In the spring.
Yeah. It was pretty cold, but like not really a lot of snow.
Spring was, what's the saying? Like in the Pacific Northwest, if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That was Bend,
Yeah.
Sun River. That was like classic. But they're not Pacific Northwest, are they? They're high desert, aren't they?
Yeah, they're high desert, but they're Pacific
It was
Northwest.
classic though. Like just if you didn't like the weather, wait 15 minutes and it changed.
Totally. Yeah. Hailstorm, snowstorm, whatever it is. And then next thing you know, it's sunny, snow's melted, and you know, we can walk around the village, but then it's still cold. But then next thing you know, windstorm, next thing you know, rainstorm again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did not go prepared for snow.
Yeah.
And the last morning that we were there, we woke up to like 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah. Jackson loved
it, but he was out there. He just put like 4 pairs of pants on and was like, I don't care, Mom, I'm going.
It was pretty cool. We did Airbnb with some friends, new friends.
So if you've followed along with us at all, last year we had a pipe burst in our kitchen, and it was just very traumatic for me personally.
Yeah.
Now I hear running water and I'm like, there's a burst pipe somewhere in our house. But it was a really terrible scenario and it sucked and it was just the worst. However, we met this couple through going through that. The husband does not do restoration, and after our project, he was like, we won't
be recommending him.
We won't be recommending him. But
he did it as a favor from another one of our friends
friend
who recommended him, and he's like, okay, I'll take this on. But then afterward, he's like, this is why we don't do restorations or remodels. They do new house builds.
But he literally was like such a saving grace for us. And it's just funny to look back on how terrible that experience was. But now we're like going on family vacations with the guy,
a year later,
his family who like.
We find out we all go to the same church, and that's the problem with like these bigger churches is you can go to the same church for 3 years and never know.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we're like, oh hey,
we see you every Sunday now. Yeah. But it was really fun, and our kids got along great because it's always nerve wracking. It's always a little nerve wracking traveling with friends, not just like good friends or new friends, whatever. It's just in general nerve wracking. Because it's
not for me.
We've had some wild experiences. So we're like, I think we've been kind of broken. And then, it all worked out. Like I was kind of nervous, I'm not going to lie. I think you always are at the beginning of a trip like that. But it ended up, our kids got along great. And it was just a fabulous time.
Yeah, it was great. It was good. That was my peak. What was your peak?
That's probably the same. Well, okay, no, my peak was...
More detail.
No, my peak was when we came home and it was nice weather and I got to set up my porch swing.
Oh, yeah.
I live for my porch swing.
Yeah, setting up your porch swing.
I literally got it for 48 hours and then I had to take it down. But
every now and then, too, we splurge on a house cleaner when we go on vacation, too. So we came home to an absolute perfectly clean. I just came up to our little studio /guest room /bonus room /office.
/ where we are right now.
Yeah, / where we are right now. And I was like, wait, why is this room so clean? And Tori had to remind me. It's because the house cleaner came.
Yeah. Which, okay, hold on. I clean the house a lot. I clean all day long every day.
Tori will clean the house before the house cleaner comes.
I do. It's annoying. However,
it's super annoying.
We don't have a house cleaner often. It's usually just when we're gone.
That's what I'm saying.
Seriously, you guys, if you ever get a house cleaner, just the one, like when you leave, just get a house cleaner because it's glorious to come home and just not have to worry about cleaning up.
It is a luxury, but
it's a total luxury. And we're very blessed with the housekeepers that we've found. Yeah, they're such a good couple and they're like thorough.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money for how big our house is, and they bring all their own equipment. That's
thorough. The key is when they bring their own equipment. Why do you keep looking at me?
I don't know.
Huh? You looking at what are you? Are you looking at my ring that got cleaned?
No.
Is that what you're looking at?
I'm just looking.
Okay.
Gosh. Bring down the barriers.
No, wives, no. You
I was literally looking at nothing. I was thinking about what I was going to say in my head next. Literally nothing. Nothing of the sort.
What was the meme last night that we were talking about? Oh, the stock market just lost. What was that meme?
Oh, yeah. Okay, there's memes that are online about like, men, women too, husband. But like, okay, mostly dads or whatever, they think about like the stock market and the finances and the job and how are we going to do this, and this, all these things, on a road trip, say, and she's like, I wonder what he's thinking. Or it's, man, I wonder when a good time to ask him to fill my water cup up is while Tori's listening to,
Fourth Wing.
Yeah, Fourth Wing, her naughty books. Okay. I'm looking at all these blogs about Black Monday and,
oh gosh,
stock market losing 20% and the whole world's falling apart.
Meanwhile, I'm like, why isn't he paying attention to me?
Yeah. A couple minutes later, so I get on my chess app and she gets super annoyed when I play chess.
No, you guys.
She gets super annoyed. No, this is my story. You get super annoyed when I play chess. Okay, after I just read all this stuff, she cuddles up and then she looks over. She's like, you're playing chess, and then rolls over, falls asleep. Life. This morning, I tell her about this. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, we lost this much money in our investments, blah blah blah. She goes, that's super depressing. I'm like, yeah, it totally is. That's why I desensitized myself last night and got on chess. Okay,
my bad. That was my bad. Babe, can you go fill up my water really quick?
No, I cannot. Okay.
Anyway, I don't know how we got on that topic.
Because you accused me of looking at you weird when really it was just
I
did
head. Take my ring to get cleaned, and it's just amazing how that thing shines after.
I know, that was nice.
That was nice.
We had to keep up on that 6-month thing.
I know. You got to keep the insurance.
I noticed on an Instagram recently, yesterday or something, you did something, you put something in the camera, but you used your left hand.
Oh, yeah, I did. You saw that, girl?
I'm like, who uses
You saw that?
Yeah, I'm like, no one uses their left hand. You're right-handed, okay?
Every once in a while, you gotta just put it in there.
Yeah, it was so like, and it was like a half a second too, okay? You girls.
Hey, I'm proud of this thing, okay? This is so random and we're totally off topic, but I'm not gonna lie. Sorry to all my girlfriends who have said this to me. I'm not trying to call you out, but
you call your girlfriends out a lot. I feel like
I do too. But a lot of some of my girlfriends are like, "Oh, I can't wait for my 10-year anniversary so I can get an upgraded ring."
Oh yeah.
And that's my one thing. Like, I get mine's ridiculous. Like, mine is silly. Usually, when you get married young, you get like a placeholder, right? Which mine is definitely not a placeholder. However, I would be like, we were just having this conversation. I would be devastated if my ring ever changed. Like, if I ever lost my diamond or if I ever had to.
You don't plan on upgrading?
I don't plan on upgrading.
Are you going to eat your words in like 25 years?
I'm not. I love my ring so much. And I just think it's like such a, what's it called? Like a symbol of where, again, mine's ridiculous. So I have the privilege to say this. But even if I had like a tiny ring, it's like the symbol of where your love was when you proposed to me, I wouldn't want to change it. That's like where we started.
Yeah, it's so cute.
It's so cute. Like, you can buy me other rings. I won't be mad about that. But like, I never want to change this ring. It's my love.
That's so sweet.
And this diamond, if you put this diamond in a row of, let's say 10, because let's not get crazy. But if you put 10 diamonds this size, I would know exactly which one was mine.
You can't tell through 50 diamonds?
Well, that might get a little dicey.
Our love is only 10 diamonds.
It's only 10 diamonds. 10 years, 10 diamonds. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
What was your pit? Did you have a pit?
My car battery.
Oh, that's what my pit too, man.
My car battery. So I bought a battery at Costco. Apparently they don't install, and so this car battery has been sitting in my front seat, and I just been procrastinating on finally trying to install. I've never done it before. I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory. I just need to like do it and find all the tools.
But electrical stuff's like that's scary.
I know my buddy
to me.
Dan did give me a heads up on like the process. You're supposed to do like negative first and then the positive, and then.
But are you sure? Like, did he get it backwards?
And then I might be getting it backwards right now. I'm gonna confirm it before I do it. But then, point is, there is a process there, and then when you put it back, it's opposite. You put the positive on first and then the negative. But finding the right bolts or the right sockets, my shop area is a mess. And so that's going to take a while. So it's honestly going to take me probably 30 minutes, but I'm just procrastinating.
Yeah.
But it's also super annoying. We actually got this awesome battery thing.
So I was going to say, if you need I think it could be for Mother's Day or Father's Day. And this is not sponsored.
It could be for any day.
This is our legitimate, if you...
Tori, that's
want
what you
to
should
get a
link.
good gift.
You're always linking stuff on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, I should.
You should link the crap out of this.
The best $60 I ever spent in my entire life was on this portable car jumper that just sits in my car.
Yep. Brilliant.
I've been able to help other people. Now Zachary, his battery's dead. He has to jump start his car every single time. And instead of having to have another vehicle with you to jump start it, you can just plug this thing in, jumps your car.
Yeah. There was a Christmas, we were looking at lights, but then our car ran out of battery.
And I had to go knock on we were in our pajamas and I had to go knock on everyone's door.
But then someone came out and we were like, hey, can we get a jump? And this guy's like, oh, no, but I have this unit here that can do it.
His was a little fancier, but.
Yes, but same thing. I have this unit. Anyway, it gave us the idea to get this unit.
And I think it was literally a week later. I was at Costco and I think it's a Michelin brand.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I was like, Zach, I'm going to get it. And it's been the best purchase
I've been able to jump every time my car turns off. I have to jump it the last 3 or 4 days. And I can get 10 jumps in this thing before I have to charge it again. So it's pretty cool.
I was at the mall, Washington Square down in Oregon, and there was this poor family that you could tell they were sitting out in their van. They had 2 kids. It was super hot. It was the middle of summer. And they were sitting there calling someone, trying to get them to come jump them. And I jumped out of my car and I said, do you want this thing? And they instantly were on the go. It just felt so good to be able to help somebody else, like without any sort of complication.
It's awesome because you don't have to like jumper cables and line the cars up. And if you're in a parking lot, there's no spot for another car and then the cables aren't long enough, blah, blah, blah.
It's
this thing's super simple and you could be a hero.
I'm going to link it. For you guys.
We're going to link it. We'll put it in the description of this podcast.
Probably not, but I'll put it on my Instagram. Anyway. That's been my pit, but it's also going to be the peak when I fix it. Yes.
So I hope that's the issue too. And it's not something else.
I'm sure it's the battery.
With the car, like the starter or...
no, I'm sure it's the battery.
The thing that like charges the battery. There's a thing in your car that is like...
I'm sure it's the battery. My car's been through like 4 batteries and it's like 5 years. It's like every year I feel like they're so complicated these days. There's so much electrical issues or like things in your car. The batteries just don't last like they used to.
Yeah. So anyway, what's your pit?
Pit.
Pity pit.
Pity pit. I don't really have one. We had a really good week.
We did have a good week.
My pit is the week is over. Like our spring break is over.
I know
like
Jackson has this huge school project due on Thursday.
That's my pit. There you go.
And we've ignored it for the last month and a half. We were supposed to do it before spring break. The teacher literally told us at conferences, "Hey, it's probably a good idea to do this before break."
Yeah.
Because after break, and the next thing you know, you have 4 days left.
It's honestly though. I'm sorry. I know somebody that we know is going to listen to this podcast, but it's punishment for the parents to do projects like this
at that young
age. This young of an age.
No, because you moms put so much pressure on yourselves. You don't want your kid to be the one with the weird project.
Regardless, it's our responsibility to get he has to do like a shoebox with like a diorama of the jungle. And I'm like, we're the ones who have to get the shoe boxes. We're the ones that have to like use the hot glue gun because we don't want our second grader to like.
That's what I'm saying though. Like hypothetically, just have your kid get some glue, Go old school. I know that's what I'm saying. You guys, we put standards on ourselves. You guys put standards on each other, and you're like, my kid's not going to come with the worst project.
My kid's not going to come with the worst
project.
You
guys all do it and put pressure on yourselves so it's not the teacher's fault or anything like that. I would just say, hey, I would give Jackson guidance and then let him do his thing. As long as he can explain it. Okay, see, that's the thing. You put so much pressure on the diorama.
Zach is so
Does he know
smart.
It's about a rainforest? Does he know information about the rainforest?
Probably not.
Oh, let's hope he can. Can he describe a rainforest? Can he do whatever he needs to learn? The diorama is just some craft that's fun. That should be fun. But we put so much pressure on the kid to have this perfect art piece. Okay, so.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Just saying, it's not the teacher's fault.
It's not the teacher's fault, but it is annoying. I don't like these home projects. Stop. Get out of here. Oh my God.
I do like it when the teacher tells us, like, at least me, like, I have very big respect for teachers. And when I go into these conferences, I go basically, you're the boss, tell me what to do. Okay? Yeah. And because I was not a good student. I straight up tell all the teachers, I'm like, you'll know if I'm helping Jackson with his homework. Okay. What was it the other day? He was learning some division thing. I told you something looked weird. He was doing something weird.
Yeah, I'm like, it was subtraction, but yeah.
Subtraction, whatever it was.
Zach couldn't do basics.
No, but I told Tori and Tori got frustrated and I was like, no, something's weird here. I know I'm an idiot, but like,
no, you're not.
Something is wrong here, okay? And then Jackson started doing it for Tori and Tori's like, wait, what? Okay.
Well, and then I go, let me give you some practice problems here. So I give them, because they're doing like thousands subtraction. And so I'm like, let me give you some practice here, and I made him do like 4,327 minus 4,106, and then I started doing it and I was like, oh crap, that's a negative number. Yeah, okay. And then it was just like, never mind, Jackson, you're good. Put your stuff away.
But the way he did it was like different. And I was like, what the heck's going on here?
And these days you don't know if he's doing it different because that's like the standard at school now because they teach so
or
many
is he like
ways.
Literally doing this wrong and he doesn't
get it. Yeah. He was doing it with such confidence though that we were like, oh, maybe somebody taught you to do it this way.
Anyway.
Okay. Let's get into the series here. This portion of Raising Heights is brought to you by Cozy Earth. We have shared Cozy Earth multiple times on this podcast because we absolutely love them. We use their bamboo sheets or their bamboo sheet set on our bed, which is the best bamboo sheets I've ever owned in my life. They're the best. And I also have their pajamas. We have their towels.
Super lightweight, like they feel really thin. And, finessey, but they're, they keep you nice and cozy and warm.
They do. I feel like we've had multiple sets of sheets that were made from bamboo and they pill or they rip or something happens. And we've had our Cozy Earth sheets for about a year and a half now. And we love them. They like only get better with wash. We wash ours pretty regularly, like once a week. I don't know if that's regular. I think that might be more.
That should be pretty standard.
I hope that's standard, but we wash ours like once a week, and they just get better.
No, yeah, Cozy Earth sheets. If you're in the market for some new bed sheets, Cozy Earth. That's what we do, and you do a couple of more things with Cozy Earth, right?
Yeah, their towels and their pajamas.
We have the towels. You have the
Mother's Day is coming up. I'm just saying, their pajamas are the best.
Get a cozy night's sleep.
Cozy Earth offers a 100-night free trial, so you can literally take 100 nights to decide whether or not you like your sheets. We decided in 1, but I guess you could take 100 if you really needed to. They also offer a 10-year warranty. So like what sheet set have you ever owned that offers a 10-year warranty?
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
10
years. Like think about how much life we have lived in we've lived in 3 different houses in 10 years.
Yeah.
Luxury
should not be out of reach. You guys can get 40% off with our code HEIGHTS when you go to cozyearth.com.
40%
off. That's their sheets, pajamas, all the things. 40% off when you use our code HEIGHTS.
Incredible.
So go to cozyearth.com and use our code HEIGHTS. Go check them out. Stay cozy. We are on episode 4. I don't know if you guys all watched it before this podcast, which you should have.
Little Big World.
This was a good one.
Was it?
This was a good... Okay, and also watching some of these just gets me in my feels because this one had a lot of Papa in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just...
Papa had the line of the show.
Papa had he had a couple. I wrote.
He would have gone viral if it was today's age.
Today.
Yeah.
Do you know?
He would have had his own little.
Do you know
spin-off.
his best one that he said?
Yeah.
He goes. He puts his hand up to his waist and he goes, "I've had it about up to here with these dwarfs." Like only Papa can say stuff like that.
I've had it up to here.
Like only Papa.
The problem
can
is
say
he
that.
wasn't trying to like be funny either. Like he was like, I feel
legitimately like you guys are annoying.
I've had it up to here. Like, what was his other one though? That's the funny one.
Well, we'll get into it. Into it. He had a couple. Papa, we miss Papa so much.
He would have had his own. He did have his own fan base, but
okay,
I feel like
so
even more.
Yeah, on this episode, you guys go camping.
Yeah.
You guys do a boys' trip camping. Can we say who went? They won't care, will they?
Yeah, they don't care.
So Zach and his dad, Jacob and Jeremy.
Okay.
And then you guys brought Jacob Mueller and Dan.
Yep.
And then your dad brought 2 helpers also.
It was Mike Detchen and
Sven again. So yeah, it was like a boys' camping trip.
Yep.
And what stuck out to me was it was like a true Oregonian camping trip.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't live in the Pacific Northwest, there is something so special about camping here and being out in the wilderness. You guys went to Taylor Lake, which I don't believe is accessible by cars.
It is. It's old logging road. I've gotten there on my Subaru, but it's pretty gnarly. It's fun to park. I think you park at Waldo Lake in Oregon, and then you drive down this logging road.
Wait, isn't Waldo where I almost died?
Yeah. And then from there, we went on that road for like a quarter of a mile. I remember you and I did, but it's Irish Lake, and then Taylor Lake right next to each other. I'm saying the name. Back when we used to go, there was no one there. Now it's a very popular campsite.
Oh, really?
It's between Waldo Lake and like Little Coltis Lake. But there's a logging road. It's an off-road, but you can take a 4-wheel drive there. Again, I did it with my Subaru with Mueller one time. But that was our camp spot for a long, long time. There was a big forest fire there years ago. When my dad first took us, it was like 1997, 1998. So there was a huge forest fire. So we'd go through like 2 miles of burn. We would get there late at night because my dad worked, sales, software. But we would bring the mules. We'd get there almost dark, pack everything on the mules, drive in a quad, maybe drive in there, camp for, 2 nights. It was always like, it took so long to get there, and we would camp for 2 nights or whatever, maybe 3, and then we would
it's such an adventure.
We would get on the mules the next day and go all around and
well, and I thought that was so cool because I feel like your dad really did instill this love of like adventure in you guys and you like your whole family.
He definitely we were definitely like all his stories, they're always about like wilderness, outside camping, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn's type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Jackson asked me, what kind of stories did your dad say? And then I was like, well, it's usually about this, and this, and that. So, but my point was, it was
so
always like wilderness. It was always camping, wilderness, outdoors type theme stories.
That's so good.
So yeah, Germany.
Well, and just going on that camping trip, I don't think a lot of parents would do that kind of trip because it wasn't just a drive to the location and set up camp.
No, it totally I think is like I've said this on this. I'm like my type of camping that's what I knew of camping. And then when I met you and we started camping in these where people are right next to us, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, this isn't camping. This is why aren't we just in a hotel? Okay, this is
okay, but that's the thing is I would love to go on those kind of adventures because you guys looked like you had so much fun. However, just getting to your campsite when they pulled off all the stuff on the trailer covered in dust. Everyone,
the road was super
and
dusty.
then your friends would shake their head and just dust. And I'm I would not survive.
And then we didn't shower or we jumped in the lake.
You jumped in the lake.
But the lake also gives
but then
you
all your stuff is just dirty.
Yeah.
But you guys looked like you had a blast. But just watching you guys all pack up though. That's when Papa's in there because your mom goes on this tangent. Your dad, he was a manager, he was a micromanager. He can't be the one to physically do all of the packing and loading and doing all this stuff. And so he was like making lists and telling everyone what to do. And Papa's just like, I don't care about the details. Just get in the car. Like, just let's go.
Yeah.
And what did he say? Okay, when I wrote it down, he said, if it was up to me, I'd get 20 pounds of granola and 30 pounds of water, and that'd be the end of it. Yeah. But your dad's in there like, we need olives.
Yeah, we need to. He was making the grocery list. And Papa was just like, he was a Marine, by the way. Like, he was Army Marine guy and all the things.
20
like,
pounds of granola.
Yeah, 20 pounds of granola.
Keep you regular, keep you
30
hydrated.
pounds of water, and we're good to go. Like, that's a line. See, that's sad that didn't. That's a line.
20 pounds of granola. I love it. And then just that fed up to here with these dwarves. I just feel like I do kind of like being married to someone who has dwarfism, because I do feel like it gives me a pass.
Yeah.
And the same goes for Papa. We 100%. Get this pass to make short jokes, and I make short jokes to my friends all the time, and they'll look at me like, can you say that? Like, isn't that inappropriate? But I get this pass. And so Papa with all these one-liners, I'm just like, yes. So good.
No, it was good.
Because it's not like malicious. It's just, you
just
guys
funny.
are being annoying, and we're just going to like call you out for it.
Yeah. And it's just, again, I don't feel like he was trying to be funny. Like, it was just authentic. That's like, true. I'm up to here with these guys. Okay.
I'm up to here. The way that he held his hand to, for those of you who are listening instead of watching, he holds it up to his hip and just goes, I've had it up to here. It's so good. This portion of Raising Heights is brought to you by Skims. I feel like at this point, everyone has heard about Skims. And if you haven't, you've been living under a rock. I've been using Skims for at least a solid 2 years. I have a couple of their products. Their bodysuits and their t-shirts and their pajamas are top notch. Do you know what Skims is?
Kardashian.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Kim Kardashian.
Okay. I am loving their Fits Everybody collection. I feel like I find myself constantly going back to that collection because it literally fits everybody. My favorite product from that collection is the scoop neck bralette. All their bralettes are great, but that one is like the ultimate. I love how it is stretchy and buttery soft, but if you're a girl who likes to wear bralettes, you know, sometimes when they are stretchy, by the end of the day, they're a little too stretchy. And the Fits Everybody scoop bralette is like the perfect amount of stretch that maintains its shape all day long.
Got it.
Anything you want to add? So shop the Skims Fits Everybody collection. They have sizes from extra, extra small to 4X. So it literally fits everyone. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select Raising Heights in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Make sure you check out the Fits Everybody collection at skims.com/heights. That's skims.com/heights.
Papa has a lot of stories about how, he was my dad. He was up to here with my dad growing up.
I guess I didn't know that. They talked about that a little bit on the show.
Yeah.
About how your dad and Papa didn't always get along. And I never saw that. I was always kind of like, I always felt like they got along well.
I think they got along later on, but growing up, I feel like my dad, or just hearing the stories, he gave them a hard time. He was always go, go, go. And
Papa was or your dad?
My dad was, and he was always... And they weren't well off growing up. Right. So it was all those things too. And then back then you're disappearing, you're running away from home, you're not, there's no phones, there's all that stuff too. So it's like, and then my dad jumped right into a sales job right after high school, barely passed school, had to do third grade. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like all the parenting, if our kid Jackson had to do third grade twice and all we would be like, what the, okay. So and then add on all the medical bills, the hospital visits and everything. They lived in the hospital for 3 of their kids. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure just all that piled up was and then again, he's a Marine, able-bodied, strong-willed, all the things.
So strong, and right until the end too.
His 3 boys are medically not compromised, but medically all have some sort of medical.
They're all disabled.
Yeah, all have some sort of medical issue, and so I'm sure he went through the ringer of adapting to that, and you think you're gonna get 3 boys that are like you and then
ready to roll,
and then but
that's the thing though, is I feel like even your uncle, who has the same type of dwarfism as your dad, which also is wild. If you know anything about genetics, the fact that they have 2 kids with dystrophic dwarfism is wild. But I feel like both of them are so capable, and they're so set up to like have success in their life, and I really think that was because of Papa, because he is a Marine and was like, you know,
there's you get it, figure it out, and let's like it's. I did say
stressed
no. I did say '90s parenting was peak parenting, and there's a lot of
might have been the 70s.
There's a lot of issues in the '70s, but there was just this like there was this attitude back then.
You didn't have a choice,
and when you see these people that lived through that and are still successful today, like granted there might be some trauma in there too, but like life's not perfect. Like you got to pick or choose. Like I don't know. Sometimes it's like okay, there might be a little trauma there, or you're fat and lazy and don't know how to do anything, and I don't know, you rely on other people, or you can become self-sufficient, and there's a little bit of toughness with the parenting, but now you're this, once you get out of those childhood years, you're the successful person. I don't know, I'm just saying there's not like these easy answers to sometimes,
and it's not one size
but I
fits
do
all.
see the result of some types of parenting, and I'm like, man, that's there's pros and cons for both. I'd rather take the cons of whatever that was because the pros are awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, we didn't say it in our pits. Are we going to talk about Jackson?
No, we can say that for another episode. That's a whole topic.
Okay, so
join us next week for that topic.
Okay, so I want to call you out a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
We need to talk about how you treated your dad growing up when you were 15 years old.
No, okay, let's go. Let's battle this out.
Which I want to preface this with all 15-year-olds have an attitude. So have some grace here. This is just for fun. However, you in this episode call your dad an idiot. Okay? If I ever heard our children call you an idiot, I would lose my mind. So talk about your dad and yours relationship growing up.
I was frustrated. Like growing up, I was super frustrated. And I said this multiple times in episodes. I called him out for certain behaviors multiple times that I felt. Granted, yes, that was disrespectful of me. Some of these behaviors, I felt like you're acting like this way because of the cameras. Did they talk about the BB gun? Mm-hmm. So the BB gun was a huge sour point for a long, long time between our friends. Please. Between our friends, my dad.
After this camping trip or before?
During the camping trip and then afterward. But, one of our friends brought a BB gun. The way I remember it, we had permission to do that, but they made a big deal about it, right? I didn't watch the episode. Help me out here.
So Mueller brought a BB gun, and your dad, it seemed as if he was not aware or made aware that this BB gun was here.
For us was at the time was you're and then later on in the episode we're shooting shotguns.
So that's okay.
The contradictions, hold on, the contradictions, and then using one of our friends for a storyline. My dad didn't have a great relationship with our friends growing up. Like he was very our friends were annoying and they're always over and he didn't like that, and they're always, granted, we're probably super annoying, a bunch of teenage boys constantly at the house eating the food, doing all the things. Don't get me wrong there. How he went about it, though, and when he chose to put his foot down, cameras are around. Oops. I was very frustrated with that, and so that whole storyline, too, I didn't think it was right. I had this, high moral thing, and Jeremy and me had a lot of beef, too, growing up, I believe, because I would get on Dad. Jeremy and Dad were very similar. And then Jeremy just knew how to suck up to Dad, but Jeremy was very sneaky behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, hold on here, I'm getting ripped apart here. He thinks the same thing, but he just knows how to play the game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it was just this is, and I'm defending our friends here. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? This is not right. We're, I was like my mom a little bit. I didn't care who was watching or appearance or what made me look I would stand my ground today. And I think I've been super consistent with this message. Mm-hmm. There was a philosophy that I went by that didn't really matter the scenario or the situation. I thought that was garbage. If it's one of those things where I thought multiple episodes growing up, me, getting spit on or just talking about my dancing or girls and all these other storylines, but it's so the mud is on someone else every time. Like for me, that's like, you know, I don't know. That wasn't great leadership in my mind. It wasn't great.
Well, you definitely let your dad know that.
Yeah, I let it rip.
And to a point, though, too, I think that
I'm not saying it was great, but like it wasn't a normal setup. You know, we were with filming.
Yeah.
And I saw things that like Jeremy Mueller, I saw things. I was very observant as a kid.
You still
very
are.
observant. I was like, why are we making a big deal about this? And we're kind of embarrassing someone else because this is totally okay. Like the stuff we did at the farm, you know what I'm saying? You cannot claim that you did not know. It was for me, like it just wasn't, I'm telling you guys, like it did kind of taint how I looked at filming and from the beginning.
Well, so it's interesting because I wouldn't have gleaned any of this from watching. And so like hearing your perspective now is very interesting because also the watching without knowing this information, that's one of my points. Hold on. One of my points that I was going to say is the hypocrisy of the scenario was, in my opinion, like there was a lot of hypocrisy because he brings his BB gun, your dad takes the ammo, but then he brings out a shotgun and everyone shoots a shotgun. And
sometimes the idea too, our parents we had a very fun place to live on, very fun. Don't get me wrong there. But then when cameras came around, there's definitely some like rules that came into place that weren't always rules when cameras weren't there. But we were not coached through that. My dad, I feel like sometimes lacked that parenting, like coaching us before the game starts.
Right.
When cameras are up, that's the game. But coaching us, parenting us before the game starts. And so our emotions are flying. We're teenagers. And we're like, why the heck are these bullets getting taken away? Like, this is never a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like, it was so that's how I look at it. And it's like, it was it's garbage to me. And again, I've been very consistent with that. Like there was not a philosophy in place. And maybe, you know, I was like maybe looking for a little bit more structure. I'm cool with whatever. I've said this for years. I was cool with whatever, but like the game plan's got to be consistent a little bit, or there's got to be some sort of, it can't be willy-nilly. And then again, when the top person, you know, it's for me, it's got to be better coaching. It's got to be better leadership. And you got to walk. Like, I've said this for years. Jeremy and me will go to town for my dad, especially through the farm deal and everything. But then like Jeremy and me turn against each other and a little bit more leadership at the top. It wasn't
maybe it wouldn't have happened that way.
We had the world at our feet. And like you had two strong boys that are ready to go, but you gotta talk to us about what we're doing, and it's gotta be a plan.
Yeah.
My dad didn't always like a plan because he liked switching it around, which is cool. Pros and cons, though.
Right.
And the con is it all blew up, you know?
Well, I think that's definitely translated into how we parent and the discipline that happens in our house, too. You know, like our kids are not willy-nilly. They have a lot of freedom, but I think that is a huge factor in like how we parent and discipline our kids.
Totally. I've said this for a while, too. Like, I'm not trying to make an excuse for me. Granted, it wasn't great behavior for me, but like I wasn't, in our structure was different. I've said this before on the podcast. I feel like a normal dad and mom, say dad, works at Intel, 9 to 5, comes home, all the things, does that for 30 years, makes the living for the family. The mom runs the home, basic, okay? And then the kids live off that service or that socialism, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Our growing up from this point on wasn't like that. We were the workers just as much as my dad.
Yeah.
Like my dad can't claim this independent. He built this himself.
Everyone's putting in.
It was his ideas, and he did a ton of work towards it.
Right.
But we also were part of this, and it doesn't matter what anyone says. None of it works without the whole family.
The whole thing, yeah.
You know, like nothing works. Even if your dad works at Intel, your mom's at home, and blah blah blah. The family structure does not work unless everyone is working together and believes in this, like supports this. There's pros and cons to your dad working a 9 to 5 and missing out on certain things. Mom not work. You know what I'm saying? There's pros and cons to everything, but everyone's got to buy into that. And when a con shows up, you got to remember what you stood on.
Right.
You've got to remember what you stood on before you feel it. Because when you feel it, that's when things get shaky, but you got to say stop. I do this with on the board sometimes with DAAA. It's like, say we did like no registration or something like that, or no late registration. After something, we don't allow on-site registration. Right. Great.
That hurts when people miss the due date.
When we're face-to-face with these people and they come up to us, are we going to stand our ground? Yeah. Which we did. I'm not saying no one's not, but that's a great example of like, it's easy for us to talk in a board meeting 6 months before the convention. Totally. But like, no, guys, this is going to get hot and heavy. And when we feel it, are we going to break? Or, again, the board's great, everything. But it's,
you have to remember there's consequences for the decisions that you make.
That's how I like living is how do you feel when you made the decision, Mm-hmm. So, sorry.
This is Zach's tangent episode, in case you're just cluing in.
Well, you said you were coming after me, so I got in the front foot.
You did, and you...
What else do you have to say?
I don't think I have anything else, honestly, after that. I did want to bring up one thing that your dad said.
Yeah.
That I thought was... I feel like we talk about this all the time, and he like voiced it in this episode. And I've never heard anyone else use this. And so now I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I have. And it's just like a subconscious thing, but... The surviving versus thriving.
Yeah.
Like we use that in our house all the time. Like, are you surviving or are you thriving? Meaning, are you just surviving today? Like, are you just getting through? Or are you thriving today? Like, are you mastering today? And I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a cool thing to hear him talk about that on a camping trip. But like we use that in our everyday life about things that we're doing constantly.
Yeah.
Like as a way to check in with our kids. So it was just fun to like hear.
Like
are you surviving this camping trip or are you thriving on this camping trip?
Yeah.
But we use it like doing homework. Like, are you surviving this homework or are you thriving this homework now?
Yeah. Are you killing it? Are you doing good?
Yeah. And then one other thing too that I really appreciated from episode 4 is your mom and your sister went and did something alone. And then like your dad and the boys went and did something alone. And I feel like we try to be really intentional in our parenting with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like one-on-one time, not necessarily like the camping trip wasn't one-on-one time with you guys, but like doing a boys trip and doing a girls trip and then doing things that our kids are interested in. I do think your parents did a good job of doing that, Yeah. And I think that we do a good job of doing that, like doing things with our kids individually and having that intentional time. And we've talked about on this podcast before, you don't need to take your kid to Disneyland. Yes, I have taken our kid to Disneyland. Or
camping out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but just doing something that brings your child joy one-on-one is, that will get you so far in parenting and a relationship with your children, in my opinion. And I don't know that I always had that growing up, to be completely honest. I had a ton of one-on-one time with my dad, and it was usually like doing sports and doing active things with him. But there wasn't a ton of times that I did stuff with my mom one-on-one because it was something that I wanted to do, it was stuff that she wanted to do or that I would go along with her. But I don't know. I don't know that I had that always growing up.
Yeah, I don't know if we had that all the time though too. It was mostly Jeremy and I. That's the thing about the show.
Oh, that's the hard time. That's the hard part also about having twins though too.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the hard part about the show too though. You paint this camping trip as this one-on-one time, and that doesn't necessarily mean that happened all the time off camera. I'm not saying my parents were bad at that or whatever, but
but I feel wasn't as I feel like at least your mom. She's told me stories about stuff that she did with you guys.
Yeah, my mom was great. My dad was a worker. Yeah. Even before the show, he did so he was the 9 to 5. So pros and cons. He was a software engineer, whatever.
He was the provider.
Yeah, he definitely liked his work. He liked to work and work on the farm. And we would go around on mule rides at night with him and check out the place and when the cowboy town was being built and all the things. So we were very locked in with all that.
That's cool.
Drove the quads around. That was back to my kind of more peak farm years.
Yeah.
From 95 to how old was I? 2005. 14, I was 5 years 15? Old. Yeah, 15. Yeah, 2005. Those were peak years.
So fun.
So
we're gonna get a quad.
Yeah.
We're going to get a quad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you have to say? Did that all make sense with you?
Yeah.
What do you want to say more with like me? You have a bone to pick.
I don't know. You shot that down immediately.
But bite back a little bit.
I was gonna make fun of you for talking to your dad like that, and how I would drop our kids.
That's the thing, though. Like that's kind of like a bummer. Like this is supposed to be like a fun thing, but to me, it was like my like. Yeah. You know, it was like I'll give you guys the reality of it. It wasn't.
I'm 15 years old and I know more than my parents.
So super funny for everyone else, but for me, it's like I don't know. It was like real life.
Unfortunately for you, your teenage life and your teenage struggles and your teenage growth is on national television.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say. Like I did a lot of crummy things when I was 15 years old. And I said a lot of things, especially to my mother, that were not cool at 15 years old. And they're not on national television. Thank God.
Yeah. See?
You know, so like you do have this added, like, that sucks. Honestly, sometimes like, you know, there's a lot of pros to it, but there are those cons that like you have to watch yourself grow up on national television. And that's not
parenting
fun.
Is already hard enough. But then when you're like, you add cameras to it and the teenagers and cameras and then and also something the parenting gets a little different. You know, not even always pros and cons, but like because sometimes like they let more go because cameras are around. Wait, hold on, they let more go, and it's like as a teenager you're already frustrated with your parents. Life's not fair. This isn't that, and then all of a sudden like there's a big dramatic swing.
But that's also the problem with being 15 years old and in that position is you have zero grace to let anyone change. You know what I mean? Like when you're 15 years old and all of a sudden there's cameras here and your parents are acting differently, you as a 15-year-old are never going to have enough grace to like take that nicely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like let's say your parents were in front of the cameras trying to be better. When you're 15 years old, you're not going to let that happen.
Well, when better, which is better, but it's also equals to more accountability towards you. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not going to look at it as being better. You're going to look at it as like this.
Totally, you're going to be like, this is crap.
Like, yeah, this is what's going on here.
Well, like I can remember growing up, like my parents' status, which they never did. My parents were also kind of the type that it was always empty threats. Like we always knew they were never going to follow through. So we just like, okay, like sure. But I do remember them sitting us down and being like, you guys have to help pay for your cell phone bill.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, okay, no. You know what I mean? Like you're like, that's not going to ever happen. Like you're my parents. You have to pay for everything, you know?
Yikes.
But like then you get to a point in your life where I was like, well, I kind of want to stop calling my mom to ask her if I can go shopping or go to the movies, you know? Like you come to this
That's
point.
the thing. We got to prepare our kids now to like, we got to always, like when they first get a phone, we go like, hey, one day you're going to pay for this on your, like, we got to like, because that's like once you can't come to them necessarily when it's too late and we need them to pay for their own phone. Yeah. We can't afford it or whatever it is.
Anymore. Yeah.
Like then it's because, well, so they say, then now you have conflict.
Yeah.
So it's like, just assume you're probably not going to have money in 3 years and say, hey, or not just money, but like just, or maybe just want them to have that responsibility. Hey,
totally.
We'll give you a phone at 13, 14, 15, whatever it is. But no, in 2 years, we'll pay for it for 2 years. But then you're on your...
Because I feel like yeah.
Wait, hold on. Get them addicted to the phone and say, hey, you're going to have to pay for this in 2 years. Okay?
Because I feel like that were, like my parents, I think got lucky with me. And... You know, my mom gives me a lot of crap for how I am, but like how I am. Oh. Like she still gives me crap for how I am. But
you and your mom have an interesting relationship.
A very interesting relationship. But I feel like they lucked out because their daughter had this moral compass of when I turned 18, I worked from like 10. I started babysitting when I was like 10 years old, you know, like 11 years old. And so I already had this ingrained in me of like, I got to work the rest of my life. That's just like what I'm going to do. And there came a point that I just was like, I don't want to ask my parents for money anymore. Like I want to be financially independent and get away from all of this, you know? Yeah. That's not always the case. Sometimes you have to teach that. That just worked out for my parents and me, you know, but I don't know.
Yeah,
no?
That's, yeah, you know, yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
we have one more episode to go. I'm only doing 5.
Oh boy.
And then maybe we'll pick and choose because everyone has been saying like, oh, you should do your wedding episode or you should do the ones where your kids are born. We'll see. Right?
We should do episodes where we were first on the call sheet. Because I feel like those are always more.
What's first on the? Get out of here.
When we
Roll
were
off.
first, because I feel like our dominated episodes, I look back at those, I thought we were a lot smoother, and it was.
I know Zachary and we always joked that we were the comedic relief.
I was always like, it was, great if it's funny on camera and all these things, great. But if it's, it goes down to like, I see this all the time with celebrities, politicians, everyone. Like people they hire marketing managers to make yourself look good, image people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, if you just were a good person, I get it. World's cruel and evil and mean, and sometimes you have to be a bad person to get ahead in life. I'm just saying sometimes on camera might have looked funny and all these things, but behind the scenes it was very tense and not great.
Yeah.
And I was always, when we started our own family and started filming ourselves, and I would say top of the call sheet, like when we were like at our house or whatever, I was always pretty big on off camera has to be a better environment just as much as on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how the memories will be better. At least for me, I had better memories. It wasn't just about like my image and how I looked on camera.
Yeah.
If it's all falling apart off camera, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people do that. I see that all the time with politicians and everything. People will be like, or celebrities mostly. Celebrities will say like, why does everyone hate me? Or like the media is against me. And it's like, well, did you do what you just did?
Yeah.
Like we just all saw it on camera. Like, did you berate this person making $8 an hour over their wrong coffee order? You're a terrible person. There's no media marketing can cover this up. And you can say, why is the media choosing to beat up on me when everyone does it?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, but now that makes the whole industry look like terrible, which maybe, oops, okay.
Oh, dear.
That's my thing is they do that all the time. And sometimes with our show it was like that too. It's like, why aren't you happy, Zach? Like, what's wrong? And I'm like, man, because there's a bunch of stuff that happened also that wasn't like, I'm not saying terrible things, but like some of it was like, I'm like, I didn't feel great about that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel great about me and how it triggered me.
Right.
Also, like I didn't great, like I feel like I was responding a lot of the time. But yeah, like also then the fans come after me, you're a disrespectful kid, this and that.
Yeah.
And it's like, Honey and Papa, our relationship wasn't always great either because I did go after my dad, defended my mom.
Yeah.
Obviously that's their son. And then later on with the relationship deteriorating, my mom and dad's relationship deteriorating, it was like, but I'm like, man, like I always go after the top person. That's where it's a pyramid, and
Right.
I don't beat up on the small person. If I have a complaint at a restaurant, I'll call the manager, which I never do because I'm not a confrontational person. Therefore, I will never tell a waiter, berate a waiter. If you can't call the manager over, you don't talk to the waiter badly. So that's my spiel. You're annoying. Just trying to get my thoughts out, Tori.
There's a lot of thoughts today. But you did good.
I'm the one that was on camera here. At
I know.
15, so
I know.
If I want to say stuff, something
say it, honey.
20 years later, okay, I can say it.
You go. I love it. All right. Well, I'll come back for episode 5 next week. It's going to be great. Okay, guys? Episode 5. Watch it before you come to the podcast, right?
Watch it. Yeah, watch it for sure.
Lanta.
It'll make more sense. Okay?
It'll make so much more sense, you guys. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, make sure you follow us on YouTube, Instagram, all the things. Check out our merch, raisingheights.com. You can check out the sweatshirts, the hats, all the things. The dad hats are like my favorite thing right now. I'm not wearing it because it gives me shadows during a podcast, but favorite. Love them.
Dad hat and shirts.
Dad hat, sweatshirts.
If you don't have a shirt, everyone should at least grab one shirt.
Grab a shirt. Tag us. We'll add you on our Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Tag us. Tag us wearing it out.
I know. I haven't really seen him out in the wild yet. So I would love to see that.
Well, Raising Heights, do like a little contest. Be like, hey, tag us. Blazers do that all the time around the world. You're wearing the jersey around the world. Right?
We should do.
You should do that.
We should do it.
Tag us, Raising Heights. if you're somewhere, especially at Disneyland, okay, tag us and we'll.
I think it hasn't happened yet where I've like been out in the wild and have seen somebody wear the merch.
I think the first
time.
But
I think that if it ever happens, I'm gonna lose my ever loving mind.
Yeah.
Monique, you don't count.
Yeah. Everyone else though.
Monique, we mentioned Monique every
and Nikki.
and Nikki.
Nikki doesn't count either.
And Sarah. All my friends don't count. Okay.
All your friends are exempt.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Check out episode 5. Come back next week. Do your best. Forget the rest.